Hello everyone and welcome to my 2019 ThatQuiz tutorial. I'm going to do my best to get through this in a quick fashion here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with thatquiz.org, it's a wonderful website, one of my favorites. You can see right here on the home page, if you just go to thatquiz.org, there are tons of pre-existing tests and quizzes and problem sets that you can give to your students that you do not need to log in for, they do not need to log in for. It's a great way to practice. Probably the most plentiful array of questions is in the area of math. You have everything from kindergarten math all the way to college math of things that you can do. There's also some foreign language, geography, and some science things that are pre-made tests that are very helpful. So what you will need to do is click create an account, because if you want to assign tests for your students to take and then analyze the data, you will need to have an account for that. So create an account. Once you get into your account, it's going to look something like this, except you will probably be on a screen where you will create a new class. So we're going to give this class a name. Since it's EDU 601, we'll call this EDU 601 2019. And we can go ahead and enter our names of our students, and that's one way of doing that. Or you can actually use this import option. So if you have a class list, such as something that looks like this right here, and they're in their first name, last name, email, and password, I'm just going to go ahead and copy those. I'm going to come back over to ThatQuiz here, and you can see I've got first name, last name is how they are. I also have an email, and I have a password. And I can go ahead and just click paste and then click import, and now they're automatically in there. I don't have to manually type everything. So when I'm done, I click save. But now I'm not done. I've just sort of created the initial list. I want to do a few more things with my class. So after you've created your initial list, go back and click edit class one more time, and you're going to see a few new things on the screen. So if you need to add another student, in fact, this time add yourself, myself one. And then I'll put in the password. I'm just going to call the password 601 one more time. And then the other thing I always like to do is check this box that says require passwords for all tests. So this ensures that students aren't clicking on someone else's name and taking the test. You want to make sure that they have to enter a password. I do provide unique passwords. I don't typically provide the same password for everyone, but in this case I am. And when you've got that completed, you're going to see that there is a link up here. This link is very important. I want you to click on this link and open it. We'll open up in a separate tab. And one of the keys here is this is a class page link. So the class page link is the unique link for your class. And you see that I've only got 3 students there. So what I'm going to do, go back here, is I've added a 4th student, myself one. I'm going to click save. And now when I refresh this page, you'll see that my other student now pops up there. So now I have 4 students in that class. If you go to my website here, you can see how I use this. For my algebra class, here's my one that has a class page with a unique ID, and my students are in it, and they have to click on their name and enter their password. And then if I have 2019, I've got a different class that goes in there. And if I click on 2020, I've got a different class that will go in there. And each of them have their own unique class page. So the class page is key. You don't want to enter something that's just a thatquiz.org. Make sure it says class page when you have to get your class link. So back to the editor here. We have our class. We've got our 4 students in our class. We're requiring passwords. We have our class page link up over here. Now we're going to go about, I'm just going to click save on that one more time, and we're going to design some tests. But before we design tests, I just want to point out that you can also browse tests. So you can look at tests that other people have done. So for instance, here's the boy in the striped pajamas. There's some quizzes on that. There's some math things. Apparently there's a folk dance one for 6th graders. And this is a global site, so you're going to see people from places all over the world. So there's a number that are written in a number of different languages. So a lot of great options to browse of tests that other people have made. We're going to focus on the design option here. So if I go to design, you can see that I've created 176 tests up here. So my most recent ones at the end of the year were some Bill of Rights situations and Constitution basics, etc. So you've got 3 options for creating your own tests. You can create a matching test, which is exactly what it is, like matching 2 different columns of things. You can create multiple choice and essay questions, or you can create slides. And I'll just show you a quick example of what slides looks like here. So if I go to my muscles and bones identification, these slides allow you to create this. This isn't the best looking one, so maybe I'll look at this one. It's a little bit better. But when I have my bones unit, I have students, they have to memorize, about 14 or 15 bones. And then here, the names of the bones would all be in these little text boxes, and they would have to navigate and drag them to the appropriate spot. So that's one of the things that slides allows you to do. There's some other things, but we're just going to focus on questions here. So when you go to questions, we're just going to give this a 601 pretest is what we'll call this. And then the first thing I always do is I always change the order from fixed to random. So now the great thing about going to random is if you've got two students sitting next to each other and you've got 8 different questions, that all of those students will be on different questions. It's going to randomize not only the question, but the order of the answers. So that you don't have to do any randomization. It will do it for you of answers, and it will randomize the question order for you. So that's really helpful. So we can just start by manually typing in a question that we want to work for. And then we can say Dr. Emo, Austin Powers, and Bill. So that's one way of doing that, is we can just manually type in. We can also add essays. So I can say, like, what is the meaning of life? All right. The other cool thing is that you can add images and you can add videos. So for instance, I might say, what is in column D here? And so I can go back to this, and I'll go back over here, and I can say, all right, let's get a screenshot of this. I use this a lot when I'm creating graphs that I want students to analyze, and I'll put things in a spreadsheet, and I'll have students analyze the data in my science classes. So now I say, what is in column D? I choose my picture, and I'm going to go, I was on the desktop there, my screenshot. Plugs that in, I can see column D is last name, so I'm going to accept that. So the correct answer is last name, first name, and then password. All right. So now I have 3 questions. I've got who does number 2 work for, column D, and then I've got an essay about the meaning of life. So the wonderful thing about this is now I can just save. I've got it on random here, which I always want to do. And now, maybe I went and got some coffee. I come back and I'm looking over. I log back into that quiz, and I'm like, oh, I want to fix that test. Go back to design, click on the test that you were working on, and now you can add to it. The great thing about this is you can also upload items. So if I click upload here, and then I'm going to choose a file. So now I go back over here. If you go back to this is what we created in class the other day. Here's your assessment generator. Down at the bottom here, there is a ThatQuiz template that's ready to go. It's a little covered up by this over here, but so now all I have to do is once I'm on the ThatQuiz template, you just go to File, and you want to download that template as a CSV. So I go there, downloads it as a CSV. I come back over to ThatQuiz. I choose my file that I want to upload in my downloads right here. And then boom, auto fills all of my questions, and I'm ready to go. So, oops, looks like I've got a double Dr. Evil. So I just found a problem, I think. I got who does number 2 work for? So I'm just going to go ahead and I can just delete, and then I've got the same question twice. Tab, delete, tab, delete, tab, delete. And there, now I can just click save. And if I open that back up again, I can see that now my questions of those extra ones aren't even there anymore. So I've got my randomly assigned questions. I've imported some questions. I've got a question with the picture. You can also add in a video if you want. So if you click on this video column, you can have students watch a video, and that video will pop in, and they can watch the video and then answer questions. So this is, now that we're done, I'm going to click save. But right now, I've only designed the test. I have not assigned it to anyone. And you can see over here, my class that's highlighted is ED601 2019. But you can create multiple classes, and you can see I've got multiple classes here. The key is to make sure that whatever test you want to assign, I don't want to assign it to 601 2014. I want to assign it here. So make sure that you've got that test highlighted. Check the test you want to assign, and then click assign. And now you've assigned that particular test. So now if I come over here, when I first log in, okay, I put in my password, I'm not going to see anything. Okay, that's because I've got to refresh the page. And now when I click on my name, I click 601. And you'll see there's my 601 pretest. So here's what it looks like when you have students taking the test. They can go here, and my first one, remember, this wasn't the first question I wrote, but it's been randomized. So I can see what's in column D. Oh, last name is in column D. Who does number 2 work for? Dr. Evil. And correct answer. There we go. Meaning of life. I'm just gonna put test 1. And then, okay, 16th President Abraham Lincoln, press OK, George Washington, and I'm done. Finish. I got 100% on that quiz. Yay. All right. So let's go now take a look at your students who've completed quizzes, and you want to analyze the results. Well, to get a little better view of that, I'm going to switch over from the 601 class, and I'm going to switch over to my class that's taken a whole bunch of tests here, and I'm going to go to their grades, and I'm going to look at the genetics test. So right here, this is going to show you, this is a window that will pop up when you are looking at the results of a particular test. Now, if I click on this particular test, I can see the percentages of students who missed particular questions. I can see who missed each question by question by question, and I can see how students did on that. Now, another overview that I really like here is this. The frequently missed is a really helpful thing for me. So right when I'm looking at frequently missed, one of the things I'm seeing here is that 9 students missed the question about Mendel. So I will tell you that when I look back on this and I saw these results, I was like, oh yeah, we only covered Mendel for about like 5 minutes one day. I didn't really go into the ins and outs of Mendel's story. We were focusing more on just doing Punnett squares themselves. So aside from that question, which 9 out of 15 missed, there were all the other questions. There was one that 5 people missed and a couple that 4, but most of them were just kind of random questions that people missed here and there. So I feel pretty good, except for this one. So that tells me that I either didn't teach it or we didn't cover it very well. And in this case, we just didn't cover it very well. So I'm just going to throw that question out. So now instead of being out of 60, it'll be out of 59. So I feel pretty good about the results of this test. This is super helpful in terms of analyzing the results. You can export things, you can email them to parents. There's all sorts of things that you can do with this. So that's one of those things. Now I'm going to go back to the class because remember that we took a test, or I took one test. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to look at grades. And you can see that 3 people have not taken the test, but I've taken the test. I've also got essays. So this is where you can check your essays. So now I can go to the essay and I can look here. There's that. I got a point value. It was 1 out of 1. So I can approve that. I can put in like a little note that says, good job. And then I can approve. And now that has been reviewed. So this is the basic way that you sort of check essays. And there are tons and tons more things that you can do. But to keep this screencast pretty short, I'm going to end there. And I can answer any questions that you have in class later. So have a wonderful day.